the only outsider was a young entrepreneur from Delhi named Vandana Singh, who contributed 50,000 rupees for the cause. And that felt really great. Even if it's just one person, the fact there are people out there to help is what constantly motivates me, even though I have not met very many such people yet. And this lady just happened to hear an interview of mine on FM and wrote to me and sent across the check. I was only able to raise 20 lakhs of rupees for a project which we broke into 2 phases. The phase 1 of the project is going to cost us 1 crore, and I only raised 20 lakhs. We dug out whatever we could with that money, which is about 1/4 of the entire project. And thankfully it rained. So we have been able to conserve somewhat. It's not that huge a project that I had hoped to be able to achieve before monsoons. But it has brought about this respite. And I don't know how long it will be sustainable, but the villagers are happy, and they turn around and say that what they've seen happen in such a short span of time is something they've never seen happen before, even in 10, 15 years. And that, of course, gives me hope. That motivates me further. Having said that, now when we speak of NREGA, which ends up spending, say, almost 4 times the money that I've been able to spend so far, and yet the result is barely visible. The scheme as such is really great. On paper, it's amazing. But the implementation and the execution is where it is really, really poor. And if one were to ask me, I personally think it is a complete waste of national wealth. And what is sad is that someone somewhere seems to have forgotten that this money that's being wasted at the end of the day is somebody else's hard-earned money. And I think that's where people like you and I need to come forth, because the problem in the villages is not that people are not capable, it's that they don't have the awareness. And if they have the backing, if they have the support, there's so much more they can do. But right now, there's nobody to guide them. And that's why I would repeat, people like us need to come forward. That is just one small project that I told you about. And as I said earlier, the scope of work in the rural India in itself is huge. The panchayat, from what we hear of it, in fact, I had a different vision, I had a different understanding of it. But it is not what we hear of it. There are a whole lot of limitations. And the reason that it has the limitations, of course, people blame it on factors such as honesty and capability. And because the people in the rural areas lack the awareness and they're afraid to question, if they were able to do it, then I'm sure they would turn around, the panchayats and local bodies would turn around and question the same authorities, the same way that you and I often question the existing political and bureaucratic system. There is no faith. There needs to be, I think sometimes there has to be a benefit of doubt. You have to allow people, you have to believe in people. How else can people function? So that is a question that I'm constantly asking myself and asking the system. Because the panchayat as such at the moment has absolutely no powers, not even to decide what projects they would want to get implemented on priority. What happens is, as a sarpanch, what I do is I list down the projects that we want to implement in our village and forward it to the BDO. And it's up to the system to decide which projects they want to sanction and how much time they want to sanction. And even if I have actually prioritized everything, saying water is my first priority, followed by sanitation, afforestation, etc. But in spite of that, it doesn't get sanctioned that way. So therefore, there is a huge gap. And nobody's been able to fill that gap because, as I said, and I'm repeating again, people in the rural areas don't have the awareness. They're too afraid to question people. And again, people who normally the idea, the perception that we have of a serpent, which I apparently am bringing away from, if you look at that, the problem is also, and again, I don't blame them, the fact that from what I've been told, a sarpanch only gets a remuneration of about 3,000 rupees. And the panch members, as in the remaining panchayat, they get about 35 rupees per meeting, and every month there's supposed to be 2 meetings held. Now, if that's the kind of money they're getting, why would they want to work for the panchayat? Why would the sarpanch not try and fill his pockets? Because if somebody actually decides to work, it is a full-time job. I'm lucky that I don't really need to think about that money because I have a reasonably good amount of support. But the other people do not, because most sarpanches are from the villages. They don't have the kind of income that you and I otherwise do have. They are not that lucky. And the system needs to see that. And that's why when I say that they have the right to question is because their needs are not really taken care of. So if there is that question of honesty and capability, it's because the system is not giving them the opportunity to give it their very best. And that's why educated people like us need to somewhere contribute in some way. I'm not saying you become sarpanches and leave everything and go to it. But we all hail from villages. Our families hail from villages. We need to stay in touch with the roots. And say when you take a break, you need to go back to your village and guide them in whatever way you can. And I'm sure things would change considerably.